Okay, so I just like to let you guys know I recorded this entire video analysis, and then I realized I was on the wrong microphone setting, so it was completely muffled and like basically inaudible audio. So I basically have to re-record the entire analysis of us losing 2-0 to Hull again. And I'm also feeling kind of sick, and this is also like 2 days late, so it's not been a good time United wise, all things considered. I'll probably keep this a little bit briefer because I've already said all this. It's in a recording which I can't use now, but it was a very disappointing result. Let's be honest, it was terrible. This was a team which everyone was discussing like being potentially the worst team, not just in the Premier League this season, but in Premier League history. And then we come to their stadium where it's the first game of the season, and there's outside shouts of us potentially being in a title race. Now I didn't believe we're in a title race. I have us fifth behind Spurs, but there were those shouts. And then we come, and not only do we lose 2-0 to Hull, we get basically dominated by them in all aspects of the pitch. So aerially, in the midfield, we were completely dominated. Defensively, they completely canceled out our entire attack. It was a terrible performance. So I'm just gonna do. There's not a lot of structure for this video. I'm just gonna talk about some notes that I took during the game, what I sort of think it means, what are the concerns, and what are the long-term implications of this for our season. Let's start with the one positive and one shining light from this game, which is kind of crazy to think there is one. But this man over here, Senny Lamens, it was a world class performance from him. Uh, okay, world class is a stretch, but it was a very good performance from him. We did not deserve to lose 2-0. We deserved to lose 3-0 or 4-0. There were some very clear, easy chances for Hull that were stopped only by the brilliance of Senny Lamens. I have no clue how he was making some of the saves that he was making. On that first goal, it should have generally been 0-0. How he made that initial save, I don't know. It was incredible goalkeeping. Like if John Garcia or Raya made that kind of save, you'd be pointing to it saying, "That's why they're the best goalkeeper in the entire world." By the way, I don't know if I already said this. I'm also sick, so that's fun. But Sonny Lamens had an amazing performance in terms of saves, and I think that's very important to note because you see how De Gea sort of returned from a bad World Cup. He went from being like arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the world, one of the best peaks of all time, to making so many mistakes, having such little confidence, and that was the sort of beginning of the end for De Gea. I think with Lamens, seeing him have that good performance is a little reassuring, especially because given how the rest of the team did, we're probably going to need him to put in a lot of good performances if we don't want to get smacked around in the Champions League and finish, I don't know, like 12th or something. Very good performance from him. Very reassuring that he did that well. That's the one good thing. All right, let's start with the first issue: set pieces. Honestly, I didn't see it coming, and I should have seen it coming. That's like a my bad situation. I knew that we would miss Casemiro because of things like how important he was last season. I sort of knew that we would lose that set piece threat from set pieces, and that could be an issue because of how much we were scoring from set pieces. But it completely slipped my mind that Casemiro was also very important for us in defending set pieces, and that's a huge concern because we're already terrible with against low blocks. And you know what teams that run low blocks like to do? They like to have big, tall players who they can swing the ball into and set pieces to try and score from free kicks and corners. And now we suck at defending those. So not only do we suck at scoring against teams that have low blocks, we suck at defending against teams that use low blocks, which is just going to make this a very long season. And that's a very big concern for me because with a lot of the other concerns I'm going to talk about in this video, I see solutions. Like I can say, we have X player coming back or Y player coming back. We can make X change to the tactic. There might just need to be a betting in period. With this one, I don't see a solution. Right? We have Baleba coming back into that midfield position. Um, like Baleba's not that good in the air, especially compared to Casemiro. We have Sesko. Sesko's like good in the air. I don't think he's elite in the air, even though he's so tall. And he's also a striker. He's not a defender. He's not good at defending things. Right, that's an issue. I don't see who else could come back, like Delit maybe, but like you already have Maguire, so if you put Delit in for Maguire, it's just like a one-to-one swap. If you have Delit and Maguire, there's no pace in that center back pairing, so now you can't play your high line. Like there's a whole other host of issues. So I really don't know what the solution is here, and that's going to be a huge issue for us because so many teams use set pieces now after what Arsenal were doing in the Premier League last year, and you saw how it affected Liverpool, who have way better technical players than us, but because they were so bad at defending set pieces, it just completely derailed their season. And if that happens to us, it could very much derail our season too. And I don't see a solution. I'm very concerned about that. The second thing is our progression. This is probably the biggest issue from that game. We just can't break down a low block. And that is a big concern because we spent this entire transfer window so far signing three players, all for our midfield, all who theoretically at their best are going to be helping us to break down low blocks. But I guess even if Baleba is a more physical player, the two players we started today were the two players who are supposed to be the best progressive passers, not just on our team, but in the Premier League. Like I was seeing things like Tillemans had the most progressive, like line breaking passes in the Prem. Santos was up there too, and like they couldn't break down Hull. Like, look, I don't want to disrespect Hull because they beat us. Like, congrats to Hull. They did a lot better than I thought they would. They're clearly a stronger team than I thought they were. But there's going to be so many better midfields and defenses than that of Hull City. And if Santos and Tillemans can't break down Hull, how are we going to break down Everton? And how are we going to break down like Brighton or Palace or whoever else is going to come and like see us and just play a low block and automatically win? Like, how are we going to break them down? I think Santos was terrible. It was such a bad performance, not only because he was basically non existent on the ball. I can't remember one thing he did with the ball. Also, our midfield was getting overrun completely. And like with Bruno and Tillemans, that's I don't blame them that much for that because Bruno's a cam. Tillemans, I knew that Tillemans is a progressive monster. He's not going to be the one who's like holding the midfield down. Like if we're getting overrun a little bit from his side or like he's not doing as much, I can accept that because that's not his job. Santos is supposed to be the player who's like holding the midfield down and making the tackles and like winning the ball for us. So seeing Oli McBurney dribbling through our entire midfield is a concern for me because Santos is supposed to be dealing with that. If you can't deal with McBurney dribbling through the midfield, what are you going to do against Doku? Forget Doku. What are you going to do against Injai? What are you going to do against I don't even know Sar? Like literally every single other Premier League team has a player that's better than McBurney at dribbling, and McBurney is already dribbling through our entire midfield. I'm very concerned about Santos. I think Baleba is coming back. Baleba is a huge risk, though. I wanted Baleba to come back into an environment where he has to like break into the team and break into the midfield, and I really thought that would be possible. Because I thought Santos would be a good signing. I thought Manu was a great midfielder. I think Tillemans is a great midfielder. So there was realistically a world where Baleba would have a really hard time breaking into the midfield. But I think the reality after one game is very quickly showing us that like Santos is not up to the level, which I guess isn't surprising, right? You signed the fourth choice midfielder of a team that finished 10th in the league. What do you think is going to happen? But now we're in a position where we need Baleba to come in and like save the midfield. And there was already so much pressure on him. He's already shown like his mindset is and mentality isn't the best. Like his head got turned by a link to us last season, and he has a terrible season the entire time. I'm a little concerned about that. I don't know if Baleba can come and solve the midfield issue, and if Baleba can't solve the midfield issue, then we just have a midfield issue. We're going to get overrun the entire season. That's bad because we're getting overrun to a defense that's not particularly strong. Like we have a kid and we have like an old man at the back with Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire wasn't that bad, to be honest. Evan didn't have a great game. I think Yor was a good player. Dulitz, if he comes back to the same level, like we have okay defenders. I don't want them to get caught being constantly run at though. That could be an issue. You know, I think Tillemans actually was okay progressively. At the start, I was seeing instances of him progressing the ball really well, and I was thinking before Hull scored, like, wow, Tillemans is doing a good job. This is what we were missing. This is freeing up Bruno to say higher up the pitch. But as the game went on more and more, that sort of just died out, and Tillemans became less and less able to do the things that he was good at, and less able to progress the ball. So I don't know whether that's something where it just needs time to gel. And if it needs time to gel, then I think there is potential where Tillemans could be a good player for us and could help us with like his passing and breaking the lines. If it's not a thing where he needs to gel and he's just I don't know, like he doesn't have enough physical bodies around him and that's why he's not successful, or the level just went down when he came to United, or I don't know why he was playing the way he was. But if it isn't a cohesion issue, then this is a long season for us. A long, long season. Bruno was staying higher up the pitch. He wasn't really getting on the ball in these deep positions. Uh, I think that was tactical and intentional. I think Michael Carrick sees Bruno Fernandes in his best role as like that sort of second striker, kind of like he was under Oli. And to be fair, I think that's the right way to use Bruno this year. He's older. He has way more games. I don't think you can have him like bombing up and down the pitch anymore that much. And I think like his tendency to treat the ball like it's an explosive and just throw it away as far as possible is kind of bad in the deeper areas. It's better when he's closer up to the front of the pitch, when he can like create chances better and he can be creative. So honestly, that second striker position is great for him. Theoretically, it should have worked with Tillemans and Santos. The fact that it didn't work is very concerning because we need this to come good. Otherwise, we won't be able to have Bruno do that. You'll have to drop deep. You're going to lose out on a Bruno being good, and you're going to lose out on a huge tactic, which could have been very successful for us this season. A lot of times we had Cunha dropping in deep because there were so many progressive issues. I don't think he was doing this effectively enough or enough in general. And I think Cunha dropping in deep and being a solution, having our solution to that be someone up front rather than someone out wide was an issue because we oftentimes weren't able to break down Hull through the middle because of that low block. So you had to go out wide. When we went out wide, we were crossing the ball in, and we were crossing the ball in to nobody because there was no striker because Cunha was deep, and he's also not a striker. Honestly, I hate when we do this, man. I'm sorry, I'm so sick. Sorry. Yeah, I hate when we do this. I feel like it's not just Carrick. Like so many managers do this where we have like a 6'5" striker on the bench with Sesko, and we're crossing the ball in, and we just don't play Sesko for some reason. I don't know why we're doing that. We need to have Sesko on the pitch starting on striker at all times, especially against teams that are playing low blocks because we're clearly incapable of breaking them down through the middle. Sesko's a non-negotiable for me now whenever we play against low blocks. If we want to have Cunha, that's fine. I think Alma will also be good against low blocks to be dropping in deep to like collect the ball. They need to be on the wings, not up front. When Bruno did get on the ball, I thought he was poor. I'm not sure whether he's tired from the World Cup, whether last season was like the peak and now he's just naturally going to go down like the way Salah was. I have a lot of concerns about Bruno this season. Personally, I don't have a lot of faith that he is going to have a good season this year. I think he had a very good 24-25. Last season was very good, but he broke his assist record. I don't know what the incentives and motivations are now. His contract expired. He's probably going to get a huge contract now. So the financial incentive, I guess, might be gone. I'm not sure if his head is turned by a different project now. I'm a little worried about Bruno. I think there's potential with Tillemans and Bruno linking up, but based on what we saw today, we need to see huge improvements in both of these players for that to be successful. Uh, what else? I thought Mbemo was okay, but I don't know if he just isn't what we need against low blocks. Honestly, he's like a fast player. I don't think he's a particularly good dribbler. I don't think he's particularly good at passing. Don't know if he's the best at crossing. If we don't even have Sesko on, we need a player like an Ahmad or even a Lacey against these low blocks. I don't think Mbemo is the right profile. With Dorgu was even worse because at least with Mbemo, when we were doing our quick passing plays, the very rare times that was happening and we were just going long, he could like pass the ball sometimes. Dorgu, every time he touched the ball, we lost the ball. Dorgu cannot play left wing for us again against a low block. I mean, we're in the UCL this year, so if we get like a Bayern or a Barca, then Dorgu can work at left wing, especially if you want to track him back to help stop Yamal. Like that could work. Against Arsenal or City or Chelsea, maybe that could work. Uh, but against low blocks, we can't have Dorgu at left wing anymore. He's just not good enough technically. Rashford came on, he looked way better than Dorgu. So right now, Rashford is miles clear of him on left wing. Next game, Rashford has to be starting over Dorgu. Uh, yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of disappointed really about this result. But anyways, Rashford needs to be starting over Dorgu, which is very concerning for me. I wanted Rashford to be a squad player. There's going to be so much media scrutiny on him and there's going to be so much pressure on him. I don't want him to be a marquee player for us. I feel like that could become something that's very toxic. But very early on, we're getting the vibe, and we're seeing that Rashford kind of has to be that like key player for us again. Unless Cunha is going to come to the left, which I don't think Carrick is going to want to do. We need Rashford to be that left winger for us. Dorgu can't do it. Rashford has that good relationship with Shaw. He looked good. He was making stuff happen for us, and so it looks like Rashford is going to be the best like left wing option for us now, which is concerning because if that goes badly, you know how toxic that's going to get. In terms of whether I think this is a big issue for us going forward, like long term, or whether it's just like a one off, I think there's some things which are going to be long term issues. The set piece stuff is definitely going to be a long term issue. I don't want to write off the signing so early, but I didn't see anything. Like with Tillemans, I have a reason to believe he could come good. I was seeing glimpses of it. I didn't see a single thing from Santos. So I'm concerned about that. I don't think he's going to be good enough for a solution. So then you either have Mainu in there, who's a good player, but now you have no legs in here to break up the midfield, which I guess maybe with against the low block that could work and be useful in some cases, but that's a huge risk. Or you have Baleba, and Baleba's an even bigger risk given everything that happened to him last season. So this midfield, it could be fixed. Like it's not like the set piece thing where I don't see a solution to it. It could be fixed, but there's a huge risk. I don't know whether it will be fixed. Attacking wise, I think there are clear solutions we can have. You can put Sesko up front. That's going to solve a lot of problems. You don't play Dorgu here anymore. You either play Cunha or um, Rashford, and then you put, in my opinion, Ahmad on the right. That's also a lot of problems. Whether Carrick will do that, I don't know. I don't think he will. I don't have a lot of faith in Carrick, but we have to see. I think that's a solvable problem. Whether Bruno will come good, we have to see. I have a lot of doubts about that and a lot of concerns about that, but I don't want to overreact too much because this could gel. And theoretically, if it gels and you get these two being able to progress the ball into Bruno in a second striker role, these they have the potential and talents to break down low blocks. So this could end up working. But we saw a lot of concerns and issues in terms of like this midfield getting overrun, not being good enough on the ball and progressing the ball. There's a lot of issues, and there's some issues which I just don't think we're going to be able to solve. And what that means for us this season, I don't know. I have a lot of issues and concerns. In terms of what I would do next game, I believe it's Ipswich. I think Lyman starts in goal still. For me, I don't think Mazraoui played terrible. He was pretty good for us defensively early on. He didn't offer anything offensively though, so I think I would go with Delo. You probably keep Maguire in the team. I think you have to change the defense up quite a bit after you concede to Hull. I think Euro would be good to reintroduce to the team. I believe Euro can be a good player for us and have a good season. I think he deserves a chance, like with rotation after what happened against Hull. Shaw probably has to start and stay in the team. I think Santos has to go. You probably bring Mainu in and see how that goes. Tillemans, I think, did just a little bit enough to stay. Bruno has to stay. I think Dorgu has to go. Based on the last game, you put Rashford there. You have to put Sesko now, so I guess you have to drop Cunha and put Sesko there. And we don't really have an option besides Mbeumo. I would play Ahmad, but he's injured for 6 weeks. Maybe you put Lacey, maybe, but I think he will probably go with Mbeumo. I'd probably not start Lacey. Mbeumo, I guess we start him. So yeah, who would I change? Like Delo, Yoro, Menu, Rashford, Sesko. Is that like what 5 changes to the starting 11 next game? I think would be good. But yeah, it's a very disappointing result and a lot of concerns for next season.